20 points, man. You gave us a chance at the end, but I got 3 words for you. You like that?
Yeah, see, that's what it could have been yesterday, right there. That could have been, hey, you held them to 14 points, men. Gave us a chance at the end. Celebration.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what it could have been.
Instead, Kirk's play cracked instead of his voice.
Yeah. Well, and so did Mike Zimmer's, I don't know, preparation. Mike Zimmer's late game strategy. Well, let's get our guy in here. He is the most loyal and the most, I would say, diligent Vikings fan we know when it comes to studying the film. He is
passionate.
Passionate, yes.
Hardcore. We go hard.
The most go-hard Vikings fan we know.
He does.
He is Randy Vikes 69 on Twitter, if you want to follow him. Randy in Cottage Grove, how is that game landing with you today, sir?
It's another turd. That's 3 out of 4 turds, and could have been 4 out of 4 turds. It's a stinker. It's a steamer. It's a steamer and a stinker.
Yeah, I think those are probably accurate words to describe steamer and a stinker.
Yeah. They're circling the drain this season, and maybe the whole regime.
Well, at the risk of, I don't want to spoil the upcoming DUD stable here, which we'll no doubt get to. If you were the owner of the team, who are you holding most accountable here? Whose job is on the line this week against the Detroit Lions?
A lot of folks, but it's a must win for Zim. I told him.
Uh-oh.
What you're going to see is a coach that
is he still there?
May not be a head coach again in the NFL.
I feel like the Cottage Grove cell phone or internet gremlins have
it feels like he's gone a long way from the
coordinate their D.
Randy,
are you still there?
Make their D better.
Still talking.
That'll be great.
Randy, is the phone away from your face? It sounds like you have taken 4 steps back to take another shot. Are you close to the phone?
It's on fire. It's carrying. Get your buns down in that seat, Zim.
All right, are you back? Can you hear us, Randy?
Yeah, Randy. I'm Randy.
Okay.
Yeah, but
all right, sorry.
We lost you for a second. You were sort of far away from the phone, Randy.
I got a speakerphone.
Okay, that's probably the problem.
Well, whatever you're doing now, just
keep doing it.
Keep doing it. All right.
Zim's seat is hot. It's hot, and he's gonna go to Green Bay. When we give him the axe, he'll end up in Green Bay, and he'll make their D better.
That would be a nightmare, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That Aaron Rodgers signs a contract extension, kumbaya in Green Bay, and Mike Zimmer goes and coordinates a Super Bowl. I mean, I don't even want to think about that. I don't want to go down that.
Better start thinking about it, because that's where this is headed. I mean, this whole thing is circling the drain. It's a turd, and it's a steamer, it's a stinker, it's a turd, and they're all everyone. No one should be safe at this point, at this juncture.
That's probably a good segue into you usually bring a stud stable when they win, and unfortunately we've only been able to do one of those so far this year. And so this, if you're ready, Randy, is the Randy in Cottage Grove DUD stable from a Week 4 loss to the Browns.
This is Week 4 against the Cleveland Browns. By the way, they're not good. And Baker's Mayfield is terrible. They only managed 14 points, but I don't even care. Even though you're Mr. Beckham Jr., shut him down, but that doesn't matter because it's a dud stable again. We're going to start out with a lot of those fans in there. You made a lot of noise the week before. It was a little quiet from what I hear. Not as many school chants. And not as much cussing and yelling. Just because it's a noon start doesn't mean you get to sit on your hands. If you were at that game yesterday, I'm lumping all of you in with this first one.
Wow.
Get a little more rowdy. Show up at the lot a little bit sooner. And you better come and you better bring it next week because it's a must win. And if you're at the game, I don't care how much you yelled. You didn't yell enough. You're a dud.
So just 70,000 duds to blame for that loss.
Not enough
yesterday.
shots, Randy. That was a problem.
You're
Not
dud.
enough Jaeger.
Number two. You got a lot of looking to do.
I don't know if you're supposed to be within shouting distance of children, but I just want
was
to give you a heads up.
They're not in your basement, right, Randy?
Randy, are you still there?
Randy. I'm worried.
Dude,
okay.
Oh my God.
Okay. How do you trigger a welfare check?
Oh man, I've checked the Amber Alerts. Yeah, I don't know.
Where do you? We need a welfare check. Maple Grove somewhere. I don't know
Was
where.
that not a little kid? Did you hear? Was that a little
Yes,
kid?
I just heard
Yes.
it, but then that was last we heard
Yes.
of Randy.
That was 100% a child.
Oh my God, I'm laughing, but I don't know if I should be.
Don't be laughing. It's
I
not
don't know
funny.
if I should be.
I'm worried.
Oh no. That's just it? Just
Randy?
just 70,000 dud fans and then a child in the background.
Wait. Randy, you got us?
Yeah, Randy's Wi-Fi was having some troubles.
Oh, is that,
Now he's on-
Is that it?
that's
Okay,
what that
good.
was.
Thanks for the third person update.
Now he's on LTE. Is this a little smoother?
Yeah, just keep going, man.
Yeah.
Who's number 2 on your dud stable?
Okay.
I don't even want to ask any more
Are
questions.
we not going to ask about
No,
the kid?
no, we're not.
Are we just going to forget there's a child?
My brother's kids are at my house. It's fine.
Oh,
They're-
okay.
They're family.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I just want to make sure that you don't, push the legal limits here.
No,
where you're
they've
supposed to be.
seen it all. They've seen these
That's what I'm
kids.
worried about.
They've seen us go real hard, including yesterday. But unlike the fans at the game, they're duds.
I like Randy referring to himself in the third person more often. I think that should be a thing. Old Macadac and Randy can.
Excuse me. Do you guys want the rest of the stable?
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Step 2. Looking back at this game, I don't care if we held him to 14 points. I'm going to look at a guy who needs to get his ass on the field, and that's Anthony Barr. Anthony, you want to talk about all the Pro Bowls you've made? How you're chiseled, how you're cut, how you're yoked. I don't care if you have 1% body fat. I'd rather have you be a big tubby guy who comes out and sticks people. Instead, you're sitting and nursing it. Whatever it is you're nursing, put a little Ben Gay on that and get on the field. Anthony, you're a dud.
It's hard to disagree at this point.
I was going to say that one's not
Very accurate.
wrong.
Yeah, what a wuss.
Let's
Anthony
move
Barr.
over to the offense. This is a guy who it made me sick to my stomach to have to call him a stud last week. Well, I'm glad. I'm not glad. I'm mad. But it feels correct to put him back where he belongs. Mr. Captain Checkdown. Captain Kirk, more like Captain Bozo. He's throwing these little checkers right at the end of the game. I don't know if you understand how football works, Kirk. This ain't like baseball where you get till the 3 outs. When the clock hits triple zeros, it's done. That's the end of the game. So Kirk, throw it deep, call it audible. If that's what Gary Jr.'s giving you to do, call your own shots. You can't win the game, Kirk, if you don't get the rock in the end zone there. I hate to break it to you. 3 points ain't going to cut it, and a check down ain't going to get it there. Kirk, you're a dud.
You like that? You like that?
And now this is a new one that I'm doing to really try to motivate everybody. And hopefully next week we can do it for studs. But there's a new thing called Super Dud.
Oh,
Super Dud
Wow,
and
dude.
Super
Wow.
Stud.
we have a hot route in the dud stable. All right.
Wow.
Is it sponsored by chance?
The
This is
Super-
the big dud.
Is it sponsored?
Actually, yeah, the Super Dud is sponsored by PXG, the opposite of a
Oh.
dud. If you're into fall golf, PXG Minneapolis is here
All right.
for you. It's a fall golf paradise. Plenty of time to get out over the next 6 weeks until real winter hits in the Twin Cities. PXG Minneapolis in Southdale Center, and find out more at pxg.com/Minneapolis.
This is the final dud because I thought about throwing a little shade at some of the other guys, but this is it all goes back to the top. And we got a guy who continues to try to coach football like he's, in the AFC in the mid early 90s, the ground and pound. The bozo approach that just says keep it close at the end and then let Captain check down, pee down his leg. This is a guy who has not lived up to the hype, who has not become a head coach who's going to be going down in any kind of a record book, who's a guy who probably won't be head coach again here, maybe in a couple of weeks, certainly next year, and probably never again in the NFL. And it's only because he can't reach down and grab a couple right from his cojones and squeeze hard and find a win, and that's Mike Zimmer. Mike, you're a super dud.
Well, there you go.
Oh, he's
Classic.
God. Oh, so much to unpack there.
Super dud.
What did he say? That Mike Zimmer has a hard time reaching down and grabbing his cojones?
Cojones.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's a visual. Oh, man. Find me the incorrect statement. I mean, where's Anthony Barr, man? Put a little ice, put a little Ben Gay on that thing, and get out there.
That is by this point a complete mystery. Do we know whether it's family or not?
I don't.
Is our friend Randy supposed to be around children? I feel like we're the only ones who we ask a lot of questions. I feel like we should ask a question here.
But when we questioned him on who was the child's voice, he pretty quickly, he didn't stumble or fumble or anything, which I would have, if he was lying or something, I think he would have stumbled or fumbled. He'd say, my brother. In there.
It might have been scripted. It might have been like the first 15 plays. It was scripted.
This might be just a don't ask, don't tell policy here. I think we should just not ask too many questions about it. I don't want to be accomplices.
Don't ask.
Yeah.
Don't step in.
Yeah. Don't want to do that, dude.
Don't step in. Don't help.
Oh, my God. All right. You guys have some bonus statements?
Yeah, I do.
I know I have at least one more.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's bonus statements here. Presented by Federated. Federated, here's a statement. Federated is great when it comes to risk management and your company. Protecting your bottom line, too, against unforeseen pass rushers like Myles Garrett. You know, you get whatever the business equivalent is, like a fire or something would be Myles Garrett getting past Rashad Hill. Well, Federated's here to help with those things, and they can help protect your bottom line, protect your employees, and protect your business. Federatedinsurance.com, and remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours.
I'm going to give you a bonus statement from hindsight, but I now believe it to be correct, and I will say this. I believe the people who are employed to run the Vikings need to be out front on some things because they know far more than we do going into games. Dalvin Cook should not have played on Sunday. Dalvin Cook was clearly hobbled. He had a couple of, I thought, decent runs, but he came out, he tweaked the ankle. It was pretty clear early, I think in the third quarter, came out for a long period of time, then politicked his way back in and had a decent run. But the problem going against a Cleveland defense that's just really good, and I know that the Vikings thought, well, we need Dalvin Cook to play. The problem was, it was almost like, well, Dalvin Cook at, 40%, he'll be fine. Well, he wasn't fine. This takes a real risk of setting him back. And Dalvin Cook, as limited as he was in that game, I don't think helps you. I just don't. I mean, the run game was off. Cleveland is good defensively. But the one thing that I liked against Seattle was when Dalvin didn't play, and that was a smart move, he couldn't play, was that it was on Kirk's shoulders and other guys around him, skill position guys did a really nice job, but it was on Kirk's shoulders that game to as far as you are the guy. And when Dalvin plays, it's almost like this, well, Dalvin might be the guy too, right? Well, yesterday he had no chance to be that guy. He shouldn't have played. And I think that they actually caused themselves in some ways more problems by trying to play him when he was that far away from being anywhere near full strength.
Yeah. Can I add sort of a sub-statement underneath yours here? Like, I don't want this to be like, maybe this should be an official statement. I'll say it.
It's up to you, man.
That's your show.
I'll say it. For the majority of the past decade and a half, the Vikings have been way too dependent on star running backs. And it's been super fun to watch Adrian Peterson and Dalvin Cook. And those guys are, two of the highest paid running backs of their eras. And they're both, Peterson's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and Dalvin Cook, if he can stay healthy enough for like 4 or 5 more years, might actually be in that conversation too. He's an incredible player. But I just don't think in terms of team success, like when you have to cater that much money and your system and touches to those players, I just don't think it's worth all of that attention and all of that catering when running the football isn't what wins you games in the NFL. Now, running the football, this is where people get mixed up, right? Well, look at when you run for 100 yards, a team's record. Well, you take a lead by passing, usually. I mean, it's not that cut and dry, but like teams that move the ball in chunks through the air are the teams that have the best records in the NFL. The Bills, this is going back last couple of years, right? Packers, Bills, Buccaneers, etc. You run the ball to finish a game in the second half. That's how you get to 100 yards and have a win. But it's like the Vikings have done it opposite for the majority of 15 years, right? It's been pound the rock to set up the offense and ball control. It's like, I just feel like you're limiting your upside offensively and as a team when for 15 years you're catered to running backs.
Well, and to build off that point, we saw yesterday one thing that they've got to start doing this. There's a very good chance if you throw the ball to Justin Jefferson, he's going to catch it. And that's the type of thing, that's where Favre would make guys, because Brett Favre would see that and be like, screw it, we're taking some chances here.
Yeah.
And guess what? A guy like Jefferson is going to catch, roughly 85 to 90% of those balls. Some might get picked. Some will certainly fall incomplete. But we saw Justin Jefferson again yesterday. There should be a package that they don't talk about like Tice did, but there should be a Jefferson ratio internally to get him the ball. Because look at the plays. And so the play on which I think it was third down, he made a 34-yard catch, I think, and Conklin was called for a hold, is still in theory a great play. Like that play should be run consistently at least.
Yeah, I would recommend
not
that you
every
don't,
time, but consistently.
That you don't hang Tyler Conklin out one-on-one with Myles Garrett next time you scheme up that play. Yeah, maybe.
But I'm saying
maybe somebody else can. Maybe.
But your point about the run game, the Jefferson point builds off of that. Jefferson's the guy that you want to just say, how do we feature him?
People made fun of the Randy ratio too, but those Vikings offenses were awesome. Like they scored a ton of points with the Randy ratio. Now, did they jam it to him too often sometimes? And were they a little bit? I think the Randy ratio was like 50% strategy and 50% just not wanting him to check out after the first quarter's over. So
very much so.
And they don't have that problem with Thielen or Jefferson. Like those guys are
right.
They're not Randy Moss in 2003 and 2004. So all right, Declan, bonus statement.
My bonus statement also from that game is I hate ugly football. That game was so ugly and so many punts and Baker Mayfield with the yips, Kirk not being able to do anything outside of the opening drive. I can't stand boring football. Those were two teams yesterday in terms of expected points added who had negative points. It was that poor. They played that badly that there should have been negative points for both teams. They are not. That was a horrible football game to watch. And it's sad because if the Vikings would have just pulled off all the other things that were happening to them, they still could have walked away with a win, and I would probably have a different tune. But in general, that was a boring and sloppy, gross football game. And I'm the kid. I want the high scoring. It was 51.5 for the over-under. I said it would be over on Purple Daily. It wasn't even close. There was 21 points total. I wanted a more high-flying game. I didn't get that. I can't stand watching boring football games.
I love that game. I thought it told us so much. I hate complete incompetence. The Lions next week will be a bad game because it's the Lions. I actually thought, yes, that there were no style points in that game. There was a lot of things to dissect that were not pretty, but I actually found it really intriguing because this to me was such a telltale game of who are the Vikings, and like with Baker. With Baker, I was excited to see him in person, to come up with an opinion of him, seeing him from the press box. And my opinion is he's not good. I wouldn't pay him. But I actually did think that there were a lot of things in yesterday's game that I thought were very intriguing to dissect. Mm-hmm. But I know exactly what you're saying. But I save my angst for when they're playing incompetent teams or they're incompetent. I would not say that the Vikings were incompetent yesterday.
I hear, well, they were incompetent at pass protection. They were incompetent in the final 2-minute drill. They were
Right, but
incompetent
I'm used to that.
defensively,
But I'm-
stopping opposing teams.
But
inside
I
2 minutes.
also thought, let's see if they can hold their end of the bargain up, and they didn't, which to me is an interesting telltale sign of who this team is.
To Declan's general point, like that was a muddy, ugly football game. I find every Vikings game to be intriguing for one way or another. Like there's always things that just keep me intrigued, even if it's a disaster. But to your general point, if you're just a neutral fan watching football yesterday, Vikings Browns was like a bad, ugly game. Bucks Patriots was an enthralling, ugly game.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how. I guess part of it was storylines and Tom Brady and the rain and Mac Jones and stuff.
The matchup, yeah.
But that was also, it was back and forth. It was a field goal fest, and both teams are trying to capitalize on mistakes. But that was more of like, that was an ugly game, but it was enthralling for 3 hours. Vikings Browns was like, if you're not emotionally attached to Vikings or Browns and you're just watching that game, you're just like looking at your watch thinking, okay, we're good on this.
Are we going to do it?
I bet you of all the noon kickoffs, Vikings Browns, least time on red zone, right? It had to be.
I don't know.
I mean, basically there was nothing.
Yeah.
There was a touchdown by the Vikings, there was a touchdown by the Browns, and then there was, okay, let's go to Minnesota where a field goal attempt's about to take place.
Yeah. One more here real quick, and then I'll just, if you guys have another one quick, we can go there too. But here's a statement. Once the scripted plays are done, the Vikings offense falls off a cliff. The Vikings offense, 2 touchdowns in the second half all year, both in week 1. They have not scored an offensive touchdown in the last 3 games. So think about that. I mean, right out of the gate, their first 10 plays, bang, bang, bang. It's almost like they scripted them and practiced them and felt very comfortable. And then a good coaching staff in Cleveland. And I get that Kevin Stefanski didn't have the best day yesterday, but schematically, like, they've done a really good job the last 2 years adjusting, playing defense. Okay, how are we going to get pressure? Here's our adjustment. And then the Vikings just have no counterpunch. There's no like, okay, now we felt out their counter, and at halftime we're going to go in and do this. It's like the same problems that they ran into in the second quarter existed in the third quarter and in the fourth quarter with no answer. And it was frustrating.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Good talk. Any other final statements?
Yeah, I got one. I got one more.
That was pretty funny.
The Vikings run defense is inexcusably bad. This team is investing a combined $48 million in Michael Pierce and Dalvin Tomlinson over 5 seasons, and they gave up 184 yards, a season high on Sunday. They have given up more than 100 yards rushing in every game this year. I believe in 2 of the 4 games, they have had a player, a running back, run for more than 100 yards against them. And I checked last night after all the games, but the late game was done. The Vikings had fallen from, I think, 21st to 25th in the National Football League in run defense. 25th.
There's a total yards.
Yes, but no, it's I think I actually looked at average yards per game. But the fact is, they are in the bottom half of the league in an area where they're spending extensively to have tried to fix. And I can't tell you how many tweets I saw because I wrote a column about this on SKORNorth.com. The defense wasn't the problem today, Judd. It was the offense. The defense was fine. When you have a team that can run against you like Cleveland did, and yes, they're good in the run game, but guess what? You're supposed to go mano-a-mano. Mike Zimmer defense. You can eat clock, and they did. The time of possession tells the story on the road of how much Cleveland controlled that clock. In playing, and here's the damning thing, Kevin Stefanski's team came here and for the most part played a Mike Zimmer game. Everything they did is what Zimmer loves. They ran. They stopped the run. Their quarterback's not good in my opinion, but guess what? He's also not paid a ton yet.
Yeah.
Like everything, the template, the blueprint for what they did was basically, it's like Stefanski went into Mike's drawer before he left for Cleveland, took the folder and said, I'll be leaving with this. This is your blueprint. You can come up with your own, Mike.
Yeah, and they're allowing just under 5 yards per carry on the season. So on a per carry basis, they are 28th in run defense as well. So it's pretty bad. The Buccaneers, 2.7 yards a carry allowed. They've allowed 190 rush yards on the season through 4 games.
I believe
That's
the Patriots
amazing.
were they at -2 last night?
Something like that.
I believe on the ground.
Yeah. It was
They were
absurd.
negative yards.
That's nuts,
Or,
man.
I know that. I just don't know what the exact total was.
God, the Buccaneers are giving up 47 rush yards per game. Like most teams are giving up 100, and they're giving up 47 per game. It's
But how do
insane.
you get gashed that bad on the ground on the day that Kevin Williams goes into the Ring of Honor? A man who was part
disrespectful?
of the #1 run defense, the Williams Wall, 3 consecutive years, and the 4th year, they were second to Green Bay.
Yeah.
Big Pat was there too, right?
Oh, I'm sure he was.
I think he
Love
was there
Big
yesterday.
Pat. I love Big.
I think both of them were there. I know Kevin was being inducted, but I think Pat
Yeah,
was
I'm sure
also
Pat
there.
was.
Big Pat.
It's embarrassing. How dare you slander the Williams Wall Vikings
Yeah.
defense?
Yep.
You besmirch their legacy. I don't even know what besmirch
Besmirch,
means,
let's
but
say
it
that's a
sounded
new one.
like the right word
Smear.
to use there. Yeah,
Smear,
okay.
I think.
There it
Yeah,
is.
it's a smear. Oh, no, you
Go
nailed
for
it.
Sky Mom, roll it up.
So, and we'll have some takes on other things non-Vikings related,
That's
but
right.
maybe we do that tomorrow in Who Gets It, Who Doesn't. There's a Jim Polad series of quotes out there that
Oh
needs
my
to be
God.
addressed at some point.
Oh my God.
But hey, the Twins finished 500 in their last
Yeah.
60 games, so let's pop the champagne.
Yeah, Miguel
and they
Sano
avoided
was-
90 losses.
Miguel Sano was great when it didn't matter anymore, and he's going to lose 30 pounds.
We are super cynical and salty today,
And
but
he's
how
gonna
can you
gain
not
30
be?
pounds.
How can you not be? I'm not going to sit here and blow sunshine and smoke
right.
on a day like today.
Give
after
me
a
right-
game like that.
Right now, before we get done, give me a Minnesota sports positive. So I feel better.
The Minnesota Timberwolves are going to be competitive right away out of the gate.
I said it.
8 home games in the first
Kirill
9 or
Kaprizov
something.
plays tonight. How about that? Kirill Kaprizov makes his preseason debut for the Wild. How about that one?
Okay,
That
thank you.
one's fine?
Thank you.
Sound better?
It's good
Okay.
stuff.
The winter, there's some fun stuff to watch with these winter sports teams, starting with these preseason games. So that's a silver.
Wolves
lining.
play preseason game, I believe, at home tonight, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Yeah,
as do the
Pelicans or
Wild.
something? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the Pelicans.
Also, the Vikings will probably beat the crap out of the Lions this weekend. So, and then they'll be 2-3, and everything will be right with the world again, because the Lions are the ultimate elixir.
Yeah, that's
But,
true.
I don't know, but that's a game I wouldn't completely sleep on that game. That's going to be a really interesting game, and there might be some weird vibes in the Vikings locker room right now. But we can talk about all those things on Purple Daily Vikings Entertainment. Go check us out, Vikings Vent Line yesterday. If you missed that, this is Mackie and Judd, our other daily show, obviously. And thanks to everyone who helped get us a record number of downloads and YouTube plays in the month of August. The month of September, I should say. It's been a fun stretch, even though the teams have been crappy. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm Mackie and Judd.